talk about what happens when you touch a button, and when you touch it you hear a word,
Eat.
and then another word pops up that you can say.
Cookie.
And it actually feels really good at first, so watch how nice it is. You can say,
I want.
and then up comes your mom.
Mom.
And this gives you a false illusion that you somehow are saying a lot with very few keystrokes, which maybe if you just counted it took me 3 keystrokes to say I want mom is real, or is true. It only took me 3 keystrokes. But the truth is that I haven't got an independent way to say mom with other words. Because now I have to hear the word want before I can say mom.
Mom.
So now if I want to say I like mom, I can't do it because I have to say I want mom.
Mom.
And this is a big mistake done in the AAC field, where people think they're helping a child by having them touch something, or an adult even, where they touch something which takes them to another word. And when you hear that word, it really messes up the child's ability to communicate, not just in the long term or in the future, but always and forever, because there's a big benefit in hearing each word as it comes out, because that word then can be segmented when you hear it. So when I do this, if I hit eat, and up comes cookie, the child or adult could potentially think that eat cookie is a word. Now imagine if you were learning Spanish and someone told you that the word was comer and then galleta. And imagine you weren't doing it on a device where someone just said, say comer galleta. And you said comer galleta, and they handed you a cookie. Now you would think that comer galleta is a word. And people with autism and others have been shown to have trouble segmenting between words. And when we're first learning words, it's even harder to segment those words. So for many reasons, for the ability to communicate spontaneously and produce novel utterances, and for the ability for you to understand the words you're hearing are individual words, we would never want to attach a word where you hear a word to get a word. And this would be true no matter what disability you have. So I'm going to go over it one more time. Wouldn't it be fair for a child to say, if you said to them, what do you want to drink? They could just answer you and say, juice or something, which you can't do here on this level. You'd have to move to the next level, and I'll show you transition in just a second. But you could do this one key at a time. It would be fair for me to say to a child, how do you feel? And they would say, mad. Or they would say, happy. But they wouldn't say, feel sad. So they wouldn't have to put feel in front of it, because this way they could say,
want. My. Mom.
And see how you can produce novel utterances now, because you can actually say the feeling.
Mad.
But I couldn't do that same thing if I couldn't have said mom without saying want in front of it. So if I didn't have mom in there independent of the first button,
Mom.
Here's how I would have had to say that.
Want. Mom.
And then I would have had to say is. And then I would have had to hear the word say feel sad, which is not the way that people hear or communicate. So that's why when you go to the transition level, we separated the first word from the second word, and on the first hit we don't have that happen. Now remember, it's really important you understand you do not, at the transition level this is done for you. You never have to worry about it. Each word's done independent of the other word.
Yellow.
So now the child can say,
I want green.
Without having to say, I want color green. Again, if they did it with juice, if you wanted to say, I want red juice, you'd have to say, I want color red drink juice. What they say on their device has to match what they're hearing their classmates and their teachers and family members say. In order to do that, you wouldn't hear a word to get a word. Now, sometimes people make another mistake. They say, well, after it says the word want, I'm going to go back to my level 1. They'll say, after it says the word want, I'll just store mommy in the same spot.
Want. Mom.
And then after it says like, I'll just store mom there. Well, you understand what would happen is if you're going to follow that rule, you'd have to have mom after every key, and it wouldn't be, each of these motor plans would now be unique. This would be a motor plan for mom, this would be a motor plan for mom, and this would be a motor plan for mom. And so what would end up happening is that you'd have hundreds of motor plans to say mom, and that again is what happens on a lot of communication devices. And whether or not you leave it in the same location after you do this, or after you say love, mom comes there, it doesn't matter. These are all different and unique motor plans. And again, you can't say the words independent of the first word, which makes this not a very generative language system. It's actually harder for the beginning user, and harder for the advanced user because they basically can't use it because they would have to use spell mode or find another way around this hearing a word to get a word. So I encourage everyone to stick to this rule. You'll really see the kids advance when you make sure that each word does not attach to a word and think you're helping them with a few keystroke savings, but then in the end they're not able to actually talk. All right, I hope that helps.